of training. And one of the things that the superintendent indicated at the time is that the program was at that time oversubscribed because individuals saw it as a means of coming out and getting back into society. But and the good thing about it is that they were coming out with a certificate that is a BCC certificate, not a certificate of participation. And that is what is happening in relation to that. Outside of those two programs that I mentioned, earlier I referred to Project Dawn, and we are providing an opportunity for persons who are in the system that want to come out and get involved in the system on two fronts. One, to find entry-level qualifications to the world of work, or two, those persons who are interested in being self-employed. But I will ask the coordinator of the Block Transformation Unit to speak to you a little more in terms of how we are reaching out and reaching into the system, both at DODS and the probation department. Mr. Stephen?
Mark Stevens, Block Transformation Unit Coordinator. We've been in contact with personnel from the prison service who are interested in forming a partnership with us as it relates to tracking persons when they are released from the penal system. Just last month, our intake at one of the institutions, we had about 5 persons who were released from the penal system and are presently in programs at one of the institutions that we run our program with. Before then, during our graduation, there were persons, as it relates to the rehabilitation, who were within the program. They are also seeking employment, and we are making representation on their behalf by drafting letters, making recommendation, so that they could be better fitted back into mainstream society. Thank you.
I hope, Honourable Member, that you now have a better insight in terms of what we're trying to do. The system is evolving in terms of how we treat our young people on island, and we've expanded the program wherever there's a need for us to reach a little further. We will do that, because at the end of the day, this is one government, and the major aim is to ensure that we can facilitate those needs and aspirations of not only the youth, but persons who reach out to the ministry for assistance.
Thank you, Honourable Minister and Honourable Chair. As I said, I will lead now, except to say I noticed that Western Community Centre is back in the estimates for repairs. I think it's $300,000 figure I've seen. It was in for this financial year too. Hasn't been started, so I trust that your ministry would find space to implement those repairs in the next few months. Thank you, Honourable Chairman.
Honourable Member, I can assure you that yes, your community centre is embedded in this year's estimates, and we will move at pace to try to remedy the situation that you would have identified at Western.
Thank you. Honourable Member for Christchurch West Central.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Minister, I just want to start with, and I will go straight to sub-program 0580. You have certainly brought a new dawn as it relates to how we treat those vulnerable young persons in the dawn of their lives. And you have introduced a project by the name of Project Dawn. I want you to be able to expound elucidate, if you may, on this type of project, the importance of having it, what it's doing to transform the lives of young persons who may be disadvantaged in one way or the other. And I want you to also talk, because I know there was a graduation where it was present, and we had hundreds of young persons there who bore testimony to the great work that has been done in this project and how it has transformed communities in every nook and cranny of the biosphere called Barbados. I want you to be able to tell us about this project, what it's doing for our communities, and how you see it being integral as it relates to transforming the lives of our young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Project Dawn by name and Project Dawn by nature, that particular project, Honourable Member, is really and truly creating a new day for a lot of youngsters who, in some cases, require a second chance to move their life in a totally different direction. And I really am humbled to be a minister within the ministry now to see this happening. Like I mentioned before, the predecessor of this project, Oasis, was culled by the Democratic Labour Party in 2018 because, like most things, I guess they don't believe that our young people should benefit from something that is progressive. Mr. Stevens is intimately involved with this particular initiative. One of the things that I would want to share here for the Honourable Member of the Opposition is that 4 of your blocks, sir, were visited by the block committee. I'm not sure you're aware of that. And we're trying as well to ensure that these things are happening. Also, what you may not be aware of is that we would have recently changed out the lights at Dover to the extent where football is now, Premier League is even using the facilities at that location. So I think you will be happy to hear that, sir. We are not being partial here. We are helping youth across the country. But like I said, so to answer you in short before I hand over to Mr. Stephen, we have impacted the lives of a whole range of people in relation to this particular initiative. We would have had 2 programs on CBC that highlighted and persons were able to give testimony to how impactful and what it meant to them in terms of being able to enter these institutions that would normally be outside of their scope of getting in to do training. But I can come back, but I will allow Mr. Stephen to come in and share his personal view in terms of the journey of our young people coming out of Project Dawn.
Yes, please. Project Dawn is a comprehensive community-based social intervention strategy to address deficiencies and other social developmental challenges that beset young people. Project Dawn is facilitated through the Block Committee within the Ministry of Youth, which is the Block Transformation Unit. To date, we have impacted over 6,000 young persons across blocks and communities in Barbados. We have partnered with the Barbados Police Service, GIS, Government Industrial School. We have partnered with the Prison Service, the Cultural Policy and Research Section in the Division of Culture, Prime Minister's Office, the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, or brother program, the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp, and other social agencies who made various referrals to the committee. On January 26th, we held our first graduation. We graduated 235 students. 235 students under Project Dawn. At present, at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute, there are 272 students in training. 272. And at the Jean and Norman Holder Hospitality Institute, there are 80 And we cater the program like basic professional housekeeping, food and beverage, bar operation, homemakers, cooking, hair braiding, barbering, heavy duty, truck driving, bobcat operation, facial and makeup, nail care, air condition. So we try to across the spectrum as it relates to employment for young persons. Right? Attached to the program is a life skill component. Because at the end of the day, we are dealing with a holistic program. We're not going to leave them just hanging. We deal with decision making, goal setting, problem solving, conflict resolution, and communication skill attached to every program within the Project Dawn program. As the minister rightfully said, we visit blocks, and earlier indicated that we have visited over 172 blocks. And it's not an easy job, it's a challenging job. Because, for example, just last week, Thursday, we were supposed to go on a block, and I decided that I'm going to go a day early. Supposed to go on the block the following morning. Up and rising in the morning, we went to the block the evening, and the following day, there's a murder in the block, the same morning that we were supposed to get there. But any day, someone has to do the job. We within the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment, we believe that every man deserves a chance. I have a minister, a PS, and a director who believe that. And instill it into the other members of the ministry. Thank you.
Honourable Member, I hope that you got an insight in terms of Marcus' presentation. We also provide, I think you would have mentioned it, technical assistance to individuals. The tuition fees at these institutions that we are training these people are paid out of the ministry to ensure that we do not have fallout in terms of people dropping out of the programs. And we have almost 100% attendance at all of the programs that are being sponsored through Project Dawn. And I can only imagine what would have happened in those 10 barren years if our program was continuing and how it would impact on the lives of people. Thankfully, government is now again on track in terms of changing lives, in terms of empowering some of these youngsters who were absolutely, without a rudder, so to speak, and we are now guiding them in a direction that they can be reintegrated in some cases back into society and be contributing in a significant way, not only to their lives, but the whole holistic approach of this country.
Thank you, Minister. I noticed by passing glance that you have the name of a famous fast bowler. I will allow you to bowl the perfect Yorker now and continue in this vein by saying that along with Project Dawn, you have another project which is probably more formal for our young people, those between 2,000 to 3,000 that may leave school on a regular basis. You have the perfect habitat for them with our Youth Advanced Corp, which has been in a successful program thus far, allowing young persons to be given the necessary psychosocial skills, the physical skills, the training, so they can advance themselves, whether it is in the area of agriculture, robotics, in the whether they could go into the armed forces, the security forces, then you have allowed this program and project to be able to give those young persons what you refer to as the second chance, recognizing that first there must be a residential component where we harness those basic skills, and then we allow them to be fully exposed to the full gamut of training courses available. I want you to talk about this course and how it has transformed the lives of young persons who we know need our tender, loving care. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Minister. There's only one thing that I would say about this program before I go to Director Haynes. I did a site visit at the location, I think it was last month. This is at Paragon. And when I was exiting the compound, I was stopped. I saw the youngster, I think they call him a sentry, or the guard, let me call him the guard, at the guard hut. And he put out his hand and stopped my car, and I stopped right next to him. And he said to me, Minister, I have been a product of BYAC. I recently joined the Barbados Defense Force. And you can imagine the pride, because he was standing there at the guard with a sidearm representing the Barbados Defense Force, just an immediate past student of the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp. In my opinion, as minister, it don't get much better than that, but I'm sure that you'll hear from the director all of the things that are happening through the program at the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp. Director Haynes.
Good afternoon. Harley Haynes, Director of the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp. I'm indeed pleased to report that since 2019, the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp has been making a difference in the lives and the livelihood of young people that we serve. To date, some 1,053 persons, 689 males, and 364 males successfully completed the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp 2-year developmental training program. Of that, I'm also pleased to report that through our partnership with the Tech Voc institutions, the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic, TVEC, BIMAP, we have been able to secure 246 certification for young people in this country in a variety of disciplines. I was also pleased to report that our CXC program, which has been continuing, we've had 117 passes in a variety of disciplines during the period: English language, IT, POB, POA, mathematics, physical arts, and theater arts, among a number of programs that we have. I'm pleased to report that these are young people who, for the first time, were given the opportunity to have CXC, and they did extremely well, and we had a success rate of 65%. And for those young people who came into the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp who did not even have the chance at the secondary level, we introduced the City and Guilds program to give them some form of certification. We have now 187 persons who have successfully completed the City and Guilds program in English and mathematics and have been successful, a pass rate of 95%. I'm also pleased to report that during the period, we've been able to expose all our trainees to financial literacy. We've also exposed them to conflict resolution, how to resolve conflict, how to address issues, interpersonal development challenges. And to date, we have some out of the cohorts, from cohort 1 to 6, we have 379 trainees who are now gainfully employed across the length and breadth of Barbados in various disciplines. And we continue to do the work of the Barbados Youth Advanced Corp to ensure that we work with parents and guardians to ensure, because some of these young people not having the opportunity will fall through the cracks. And therefore, it is with some degree of pride that we work with the parents and bring the parents along with the children as we part to develop this country. And we will continue to do what we can to ensure we facilitate the growth and development of each and every young person so no one is left behind.
Finally, Minister, I think that I represent the Mecca of Christchurch, Christchurch West Central. And nestled in the more western side of Christchurch West Central Is the Mecca in itself an area where we play cricket? I say we because me and the member of Parliament for Christchurch West, we have our day. We may not be as famous a cricketer as yourself, Minister, but we have our day with the good people of Christchurch, of the 5 Christchurch constituencies. I want to be able to speak about the playing field that has been there in a derelict state for a while. I know, Minister, that you have plans, there is money allocated in your estimates to be able to rehabilitate that playing field so that it can become as pristine as the Mecca itself. I want, because, and I agree with you with the new trust of having the community being the active players as it relates to not only the okay, but the building out in a physical way of these facilities. This is a transformation within your ministry in the way how you treat the community centers by having those persons who are the skilled persons, whether the engineers, the masons, the laborers, coming from within the community to be able to build out and then have a tangible stake in the existence of these structures. I know that this is a pilot project that you're undertaking. I want you to let us know how the project is evolving and the plans in place to use this new model to be able to go across Barbados and having communities imbued with the sense of altruism to be able to take care of that which is important to transforming their whole community and the areas that they live.
Honourable Member, are you speaking about Briar Hall or?
Sorry, I'm speaking about the playing field in Sergeant's Village, the old St. Dosa playing field. Thank you.
Yes, I will allow Sports Council to address this one. One of the projects that happened within my ministry in an attempt to ensure that cricket is played at locations with quality pitches, we would have started a program where we train in excess of, I believe, 20 groundsmen to go back to the communities and be able to practice their craft, not only in relation to our sporting facilities, but the class was at a level that they can branch out to do other things on their own within the community outside of sports. So we are well on our way. We're trying, like I said, to be as proactive in terms of every single sphere of sports and youth, but I will ask the Sports Council, maybe Mr. Matthias, to speak to you or the director in relation to what is being proposed for Sergeant.
Neil Merle, Director, National Sports Council. I think the Honourable Member for Christchurch West Central, my microphone is on, yes. I think the Honourable Member for Christchurch West Central perhaps is referring to the community centre at Sergeant's Village. Just in relation to that though, in terms of the playing field, I know very well the groundsman there, or the lone groundsman there, the lone community worker there, Zarts is his name. He works very well in terms of, works very hard in terms of community activities, especially cricket and football, the playing field, pitches and so on. And he normally calls me from time to time to ensure that the field is cut and that the playing field is in good order, and we help him in that regard. But I think you are speaking specifically though to the community centre at Sergeant's Village, and perhaps that question may be directed to the Community Empowerment Division.
You are correct. I'm speaking to about the community center, but indeed, JARS, mainly base all them there. They take care of the playing facility. Thanks. The community center is what you're talking about.
Minister, I think the matter is relating to the community center at Sergeant's. Thank you.
Sorry, Mrs. Skeet? Sergeant.
Good afternoon. Yolande Skeet, Acting Chief Community Development Officer in relation to the Sergeant's Village facility. That facility was closed for quite a number of years, and based on an engineer's report that we had in hand, I think that would be close to about 4 years, an engineer's report. And we have acquired now, in relation to that facility, a QS report, which we should have in hand. I spoke to the QS last week, so we should have that in hand, I am saying, by this week. And the reason for that, as you would well imagine and appreciate, that the report would have been dated, and therefore, based on the need now to have that facility, we look at that facility, we have gone ahead and we've started the process in relation to having a quantity surveyor give us an estimate of how much it would actually take to have that facility brought back into the mainstream of community centers.
My follow-up, I know, I'm back to the chief community officer. I know that there is now a paradigm in the way how we think about engaging the community and to have those persons who have the necessary skills to be part of the build-out. Can you tell us, elucidate on that plan from your department's perspective to engage persons from within the community to be able to help build back those community centers across Barbados?
Sorry, Honourable Member, I missed your question. Can you please repeat? Sorry.
I was just mentioning the fact that I applaud your ministry in its efforts to engage in community, because that is part of our mandate. We have said so in the manifesto. Once the amount is of a certain level, we will engage those persons from within the community. And I know that this is the plan within the whole build back of the Sergeant's Village Community Center. So I'm saying I'm applauding your ministry and the department for taking this noble stance.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, that is the plan, that as far as possible to embrace members of the community that are in the same environs of our community center. So thank you for that.
Honourable Member for Christchurch East.
Thank you, Honourable Chairman. Minister, it is clear that your ministry has been doing a lot, and I appreciated the exposition by your heads of department in relation to what you're doing with young people, and in particular with vulnerable young people who we all know, we've seen it close up. This government has always been one that believe that government must be an employer and a carer of, I wouldn't say last resort, but when people have nowhere else to go, then they must feel comfortable in thinking that the government will protect them and provide for them. So I am particularly heartened to hear the strides that we are making with our young people in certifying them and giving them hope, in giving them something tangible to hold on to and showing them that there is another way. So I thank you for that. I do wish to get granular in respect to the sporting aspect. I have a number of playing fields in my constituency, Honourable Minister, and I have a number of teams in my constituency. We have in Christchurch East, we have in Christchurch East 3 football teams, a volleyball team, sorry, 2 volleyball teams, male and female, a netball team, and cricket teams. And we have work ongoing at the parish land field, which I believe we're trying to upgrade to a mini stadium type environment. We also have benefited from some significant work with respect to the rehabilitation of the Inch-Marlow field and the lights there. Ferry Valley field still needs some work, and we seem to have forgotten entirely about Silver Sands. Most of the activities that used to happen at Silver Sands have actually gone on to be held at Inch-Marlow, but the Silver Sands field adjacent to the Silver Sands Park is actually still the heart of Silver Sands. So I just want to know what is the intention, what plans do the ministry have this financial year to bring all of those fields up to some usable capacity in light of the fact I think we probably have more teams in Christchurch East than probably any other constituency, maybe with the exception of someone in St. Michael. So I just want to know what is the plan for us.
All right, thank you, Minister. It is good to know that sports is alive and well in Christchurch East. I will ask Mr. Matthias to address some of your concerns in relation to those locations that you would have identified that require some work.
Good afternoon, Nicholas Matthias, National Sports Council. So I will take your question and answer them based on the facilities that you would have outlined. So let us start with Parish Land. It is one of the mini-stadia project facilities. Currently, it is waiting the topsoil dressing for us to finish off that facility in terms of what it needs. Now, funny enough, last year, the rain was assisting us in getting it prepared and compacted. And unfortunately, that rain in our dry season has continued and is what's really stopping us now from bringing in that fine material for the topsoil, that last 6-inch layer, so we could get the field prepped for football specifically, and maybe some cricket and what's not. I am intimately involved with the volleyball team, so I do know what's going on there. Volleyball is my sport. Silver Sands. Silver Sands lighting was not the correct lighting in the first place. And based on what we are bringing in for our March 7th delivery to Barbados in terms of our lights, we will switch out those lights to get Silver Sands back in shape. What we've been doing to maintain it is probably just keeping it cut, but the lighting is not the proper lighting in terms of the amount of light that you can use for our sport. So we're going to switch out those lights and bring that back up to par so we can get that back as possibly your Mecca, knowing that Inch-Marlow now is probably your new Mecca. So going forward, as part of the mini-stadia project and as part of the internal sports council project, we will get those fields back in shape. And the ones that are in shape, we'll keep them in shape. And I do know that based on my knowledge and my records, that a couple of your teams did place first in some of the competitions that they played in. And we will endeavor to keep that going on. Not in just your constituency, but all. I know everybody can't come first, but that was what we'll do.
Thank you. In relation to the pavilions generally, look, it is very frustrating for people to have difficulty accessing pavilions, right? The reality is it makes almost no sense to have pavilions open during the day, right? 'Cause unless school children using them, nobody using them. The pavilions, we need to have some ease of access to the pavilions after hours. So when people come home from work and they want to go and run a boat, they want to go and play dominoes, they want to go and use the pavilion, I don't know, for dancing or whatever, we need to be able, the fields and the facilities need to be fully accessible to persons after working hours. I mean, for a reasonable time, I'm thinking up to maybe at least 8:30, all the facilities should be open. I should be looking forward to getting home from work, changing into short pants, and going to run around a well-lit field to try to keep myself in some sort of shape. And when I say I don't mean me particularly, because you can look and see I don't run. But I mean any person who wants to do it. So we've been at this a number of times. Minister, is there a definitive plan to have the facilities accessible every day until a certain point in the night? That diverse groups can use them for whatever purposes. I know that the Prime Minister had indicated that she wanted the lights to do away with the tokens, have the lights on for free, because it was not fair to people to be trying to run down for tokens, and the money you got for tokens didn't actually justify the headache and harassment for it. So just what is being done to make those facilities accessible to people in the times that it makes sense for people to actually use them?
Again, thank you for the question. Honourable member, maybe if you look in your chat, your PA will be telling you the minister addressed that already. But what we're doing, just to go back, what we're doing is we're putting together something called center management committees that will allow for exactly what you are asking for. Individuals from within the community will come together, maybe 4 to 6, to be responsible not only for our community centers, but also, also the pavilion that will allow activities after closing time to continue at the location where we have youngsters who may want to use the washroom facilities, the restroom facilities. Then somebody will be there at the location to provide access to all of those individuals. We know that a lot of the pastors now, persons are exercising, so this will provide an opportunity for the center management committee to kick into play to open those facilities. And yes, you are correct. We're moving towards a situation, again, proactive government. We're moving towards a situation where all the lights at our playing fields will be made free to those individuals who have clubs, who do practice, who have official games. And one of the things we're exploring is, I'm told there's an app that will allow Sports Council that if you pass in Gaw Hill, St. John, and there's 2 people on the court with lights, you can call Sports Council and say, look, the lights at Gaw Hill are being wasted, and we have an app that we can shut off even from there. So your concerns are being addressed all around with the center management committees, and then we're putting measures in place to be able to control the lights, even though they will be free to those entities who will be using at the playing fields.
Okay, my final question in this round. As I said, I'm glad for the lights. The lights have made a tremendous difference in terms of the usage, the practical usage of the fields. But in some areas, and I use the neighborhood of Chancery Lane, so the Inch-Marlow field is pretty well lit. But not all of the lights are focusing down. I don't know whether there's an issue of focus of the lights or whether there's a glare. But there's some residents, one lady called me and she asked me to come to her house. She was a couple gaps up and the light was spotting through. If you wanted to focus that light to look into her living room, right, you could not focus that any better. So we have done some good for some people, right? But it has created a bit of a nuisance situation for others. I don't know whether it's the issue of the glare of the lights or whether it's the angling. But equally, we have had the honourable member next to me had actually indicated that one of her fields, although it had lights, you couldn't see properly to play tip ball cricket. And in a number of instances, I know as a fact that the lights were put up during the day and nobody ever came back at night with the lights on to ensure that they were spotting where they were supposed to be spotting. So you had them up practically, but the effect of the light was being wasted. So the field was darkish, right? And the surroundings were well lit, so there are more security lights than playing lights. So I think that I want to know what is being done to address that, because what we don't want, we want people to use the field for as long as they can. But to be able to do that, then the lights have to be done in such a way that they illuminate the field and not cause a nuisance to the neighbors. So I want to know if there's a plan to look at that, if there's a difference in the spec of the light, whatever. But I can say as a fact that in a number of the grounds, you actually need to send somebody there with the lights on in the dark to spot the individual lights. Because most of them, each, I don't want to say bulb, each little fixture that makes up the whole light can be spotted independently. So what's the plan in relation to that, please?
Again, honourable member, this is something that is not the fault of the Sports Council. When we erect lights, normally we would go on the night or whatever that they're turning them on, obviously, they switch and they focus. But you have situations where maybe a screw or bolt or something becomes slack, with some wind blowing or whatever, it would just shift the particular focus of the light on the pole, and we will address it. Obviously, we would have to get, like now, a report from individuals indicating the playing field at Gore Hill, the lights are not focused, we need to come back. What we will do is to get the contractor to go back, look and see where and how we can refocus and rectify the issue. But it is not something that Sports Council would have deliberately done. Like I said, in some cases, it is the wind or a screw that will have shifted the location. And as soon as we know, we go back with the contractors and try to rectify the focus of the lights to the center.
What you can probably do is just reach out to get feedback from the residents in the particular areas, because what I don't want, we want people to use the fields and we want them to get as much utility from the fields as we can. What I don't want is that we create a problem for another set of people that then negates the whole thing, or the focus then moves away from utility for sport. I want to thank you very much for your answers. I will come back because there's some more, but I can't justifiably relate them to the exact question I was asking before. But I just want to say congratulations to you, you know why. I say congratulations to you, you know why. You know why. No, not your wife.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Chair.
Honourable member for St. Michael East.
Good afternoon. Just let me make an observation about the model that I've seen emerging in recent times about ministers doing things and sending officers into constituencies, and sometimes ministers coming into constituencies. Not talking about any specific case unless you want me to mention that, but I believe that the model now should be that all parliamentary representatives should be informed when there's any fundamental changes made within their constituencies. And the parliamentary representative should be allowed to travel with a particular ministry or minister and observe it. We had that problem last year, and I hope that we will examine the point and see if it has any value. We did things, and the minister did apologize, and I respect him for that. But I think it's a model that we need to follow. Elected members by the people should always accompany or offer the representative to accompany officers or ministers when they're coming into, at least in my constituency. And I believe other members would agree with that as well. Now, sir, I don't know if my brains work like this because of my responsibility. It is not a nominal role. I am responsible for economic transformation. 20th century Bell, and before that, right down to the 17th century, the commerce in the area was plantation, agriculture area, pocket in the St. Michael's area. I am doing all that I can to take the people of the Bell and the surrounding areas out of that kind of environment, which I always describe as a criminal environment. Anything within the plantation is criminal, even how they acquire the land. I want to see the economic transformation occurring across St. Michael's East, but in this case, more in particular in my Lawrence Hill. I want to see it moving from in the hands of the plantocracy into the hands of the working class people who work extremely hard in that area.
I want it to become a commercial pocket. It's a Black Wall Street. If you know, and if you're right, you know what Black Wall Street was all about. I would like to, there's a young lady, if you come down by Lawrence Hill, there's a young lady selling drinks and sugar cakes. If the rain falls, she has to run. There, on the other side, a young lady selling clothes or different things. These are people who come out of the community, but they have little money, but they're trying to grow out of those circumstances. There have to be an ideological business focus on what we're trying to do for our own people. I would like to see that become a Black Wall Street. A Black Wall Street don't necessarily mean it's on Wall Street, but there's a lot of commercial activities run by Black people at one time in the antebellum South and so on. Now, if you come up, you might not even recognize what is happening there. But I'm asking the ministry, I know I've been hearing some things about kiosks, some ministries doing it, but this ministry is also responsible for doing it. I'm asking the ministry, if I can get access to even lands that might not belong to the government by some leasehold arrangement, would the ministry be prepared to at least finance at least about 3 or 4 or 5 kiosks on the front road that would allow these young people who got to stand in the sun and the rain to at least have some enclosing place that they can pursue their interests in commerce. I would like to know if the ministry is thinking about that, or just this kind of mundane, superficial approach to what is the ministry's role and so on without any rationalization for why there's a necessity at this specific time. I'd be happy, Minister, if you could help me with that. I see you're tired, but.
Honourable Member, I really don't respect the language that you're using to me in relation to the work of my ministry.
What?
And talking about mundane,
what?
superficial stuff. You can hear me, the mic is here.
I'm not talking about your ministry doing something. You don't understand the English language?
Honourable Member for St. Michael East.
I want to behave like you're intoxicated.
Honourable Member for St. Michael East. The
the
Honourable.
I did not offend him.
Honourable Member for St. Michael East. The Honourable Member, the Honourable Minister has the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Exercise is stupidity or what?
The Honourable Member would have been one of the first to benefit from the building blocks project at the Ivy. I cannot, at this point in time, say to the Honourable Minister, the Honourable Member, that we will facilitate a situation where I can provide kiosks for him on the front road. And I hear the chatter, but anyway. I can't facilitate 3 or 4 or 2 kiosks on the front road to assist the Honourable Member in relation to what he's talking.
I guess, I hope it's not because I didn't respond with any poetry. I hope that you're not doing it out of any contentious position. All right, I will tell the people that you can't afford to help, and you felt that was a sensible answer to give me. Sir, I'm going to also ask another question. Obviously, adjacent to the Buster statue, I read it last year and say it again, there are a major symbol of the liberation of a people, which is representation of the struggles in 1816. To the southern side, there's also an important historic symbol in relation to the role of Prescott, who did the work, the artwork at the Parkinson's School during this time that became the flag for Barbados. There are businesses on the right side that don't belong to people that look like us. As a matter of fact, one set of business, one big business with a major investment by an ordinary black man that collapsed over the years. I really believe that, and it's now the little piece of land that is sandwiched between that on the left and on the right, and what is happening on the south, that piece of land, last year we used it as the Emancipation Village. I had to be using tents, and had no electricity, had no water service. Is it possible again, since my focus is on economic black enfranchisement, you think I'm cursing you again? Economic black enfranchisement, is it possible that you can give me two, come down from 5 or 4 or 3 or 1? I would like, is it possible that you can construct 2 kiosks for me in that area?
Honourable member, we will explore the possibility of constructing those kiosks at the locations for you. I'm not aware, I guess you're saying that it is state land, and we will endeavor to see how best that we can facilitate your needs. Just one question, Honourable member. I believe you're the one who would have coined the phrase the Waterford Boulevard, is that correct?
I could answer that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
What I mean, this fucking madness now.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
No, I had 2 questions, sir.
Well, go ahead and ask. We have other business to deal with, Honourable Member. So go ahead and ask your question.
I'm sorry that I am so difficult, even with you, sir. Benfica Sports Club. It is on the southern side of one of the biggest pastors in Barbados. The pastor was named after the estate of Churchill. I am trying to wipe that kind of foolishness off the map wherever I can. Is it possible, sir, if you see that sports club, a well-known sports club in Barbados, mainly used by Licorice Village, I don't no need for you to ask me or anybody why I'm focusing attention on these areas, because I quite understand the importance of moralizing the leisure time of the people in my area. And if we get boxed out of the whole operation, you'll be forever seeing the names of people coming out in the newspaper on the criminal page if I can't get the required assistance from government and helping to create the correct atmosphere. And that is why no personal attack on you, but I see that you're well geared to defend what you perceive as personal attacks. Can you give me any assurance? Since this club was asking for considerable time, the government for assistance in doing some renovation or some reconstruction on the club, is your ministry in a very cordial way willing to assist the people of Bailars Hill and Licorice Village? I believe a street that you pass on almost every morning. Help them to improve the social and cultural conditions within my community, sir.
Honourable member, government through my ministry, we're committed to assisting in every single community on this island. And if there's a situation where a specific request is made from you or Benfica in relation to helping them with a project, we will endeavor to do exactly that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Member for St. Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing me. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Last week, in this place, much was mentioned about road tennis in this country and what was required to pretty much grow that game and further develop the game both locally, regionally, and internationally. I think it was the senior minister who identified a number of areas, a number of things, interesting list of things, compendium of things that should be done to ensure that this game is developed and that it can be used not only as a means of leisure and exercise and sport here on Island, but as obviously as a tool of diplomacy in terms of promoting Barbados and what Barbados has to offer, the creativity of Barbados and so on. As I said, he identified a number of things that were to be done. I would have made the point that some of the things as it relates to the standardization of the game as such like were already done, those things were already in train, but there were a number of other things as it relates to how to patent the intellectual property, how to patent that game so that no one will come, maybe from some metropolitan state, come in months or years when the game has been developed or shows more potential and take that game from us. So what are we doing to promote the game regionally, locally, of course, because it required that resurgence. We're seeing evidence of the resurgence locally, regionally, and internationally. And what are we doing to protect the intellectual property that is that game, that capital? What are we doing about that? That's my first question.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Road tennis is traveling. Only last week, I had a contingent in Zimbabwe promoting road tennis. Mr. Rowe will speak to you in relation to this, but let me say to you that for 10 years, road tennis in Barbados revolved around the Silver Hill tournament. And we have moved past that at a level that is almost unimaginable in terms of where we are now having road tennis. The situation that you asked about and that Senior Minister would have mentioned are well on the way, and I will allow Mr. Rowe to give you chapter and verse in relation to where we are at now with road tennis.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Honourable Member for St. Andrew, for the question. One of the topical issues in Barbados as it pertains to road tennis is the protection of the sport. Now, we've engaged some attorneys who has guided us on the matter. And similarly to any other sporting discipline, it is a sport. Once you put it out there, there are no protective mechanisms that can be put in place to stop one from participating in the sport, and where that entity or that organization or that investor have deep pockets from monopolizing the sport, so to speak. We've been instructed that as far as the patenting of road tennis goes, there are a couple countries that has allowed us to patent the name road tennis. We've had some of our Caribbean neighbors, a couple of our Caribbean neighbors, where we had registered the mark, and they discontinued the mark because they said there was nothing special about road tennis, the name road tennis. Road is road and tennis is tennis. Some of the others have allowed it to continue. With respect to the implements and the rules, we've been advised that Having prepared the rules, which contains the specifications for the size of the rackets, the size of the dimensions for the court, and the type of ball, that is automatically covered by copyright. But as far as having any patents put in place to protect those implements, we've been advised that is not practical. All right, so the rules are already in place, which carries those dimensions, and as indicated just now, those are covered by copyright. What we are in the process of doing is establishing an international road tennis federation that will govern road tennis worldwide. Now, that will afford us some measure of control in the initial stages, because we will be guiding the process. But in years to come, there is no telling that, notwithstanding the international road tennis will be domiciled here initially, that it may not find itself located elsewhere. And that's being guided by the attorneys again. They've advised us accordingly. Thank you.
And just as a follow-up, you would have mentioned that some countries would have discontinued the mark?
Yes.
And obviously, this would have been something promoted from Barbados, exported from Barbados, and they would have given their reason. But was this information shared with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, noting that we would have said that this is part of our soft power, our diplomacy to help promote the Barbadian image? Was this, which I think is critical disregard, was this shared with the powers that be here within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that we can address it from that as a government?
I would have to research to see whether or not it was shared.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in agreement with you that if it wasn't, it should be.
And also, too, I know you said that it's practically is impractical to try to copyright certain aspects of tennis in terms of the implements and maybe the balls, but what are we doing to monetize those things? I see at the local level, some of the organizers they're going out there, they're going into China, they're importing balls, they're pretty much promoting certain balls over others, and they're making money from those balls. I don't know what we are doing as a government to help in that regard, because if it's a small man, and it's good that the small man is making money from it, but what are we doing when we promote our game regionally? We should have a ball saying something about Barbados as well, that this is the ball that we recommend as Barbados, as the creator of this particular game. This is what we should be playing with, and no other brand, and partnering with brands, or partnering with companies or vendors to ensure that this is what is being promoted as the standard. Are we doing anything in that regard, or we've not gotten to that place yet?
Again, based on the guidance that we've received, that's an area, again, that's not practical. Like, what obtains in other federations is that if there is going to be a regional or international competition, and you want to have it sanctioned by the international governing body, there are certain rules and specifications with which you have to comply. But that doesn't stop an individual or grouping from having an event that's not sanctioned. And they, for all intents and purposes, can go ahead and use other equipment, non-standard equipment. Right? The same thing applies with road tennis. Now, as far as entrepreneurship is concerned and or manufacturing capacity here in Barbados, where you have countries like Canada, for example, introducing road tennis in the schools, and the demand for rackets, for example, exists. When they ask for rackets, they're going to ask for large volumes of rackets. In terms of the capacity of our producers here, struggling with numbers, it is difficult for them to meet that demand at very short notice. Going forward, if we have some idea of what that demand is going to look like, we can start working with our local suppliers to build that capacity so that when we introduce road tennis to a country and they determine that they're going to introduce it in their schools, for example, and they say to us, well, we want 3,000 or 4,000 rackets at short notice, that we can deliver them.
We can't give them, but I'm thinking that if we don't be careful, somebody's going to run away with this sport. But I'm also thinking that we may not be able to manufacture them here on island, but that does not mean that we cannot partner with others overseas to meet the order. But as I said, you guys are working on that. It's still a work in progress, and I will not interrogate you here in the well, but just hope that we take stock of what's going on with this game and we do everything in our power to ensure that it doesn't get away from us and that we can do all we can, if it means outsourcing, to ensure that we can supply the world when the world comes knocking, if and when this game takes off. I have no doubt in my mind that it will take off. My next question comes more home into the community, and just basically what you're doing to develop sport, including the same road tennis at the grassroots level and other sporting developments at that level. Just speak a little bit more. I know you would have probably touched on it here and there throughout your presentation for the time that you were here, but just speak to what some of the things that you're doing at the grassroots level. Let me just ask the third question, so you can answer. You can go straight into answering that. Now, the member for St. Thomas would have mentioned that there's a private facility that was gifted to the community some time ago that is being used as a community center. In rural spaces more so than maybe in the urban spaces where the area is sprawling, small communities, very small communities in clusters. And then you have these centers, you may have 1 or 2 per parish, but one maybe miles away and not practical for people within certain small clusters or small communities to get to. And over time, people, if they really need some place to really be creative and be expressive, they find locations. Sometimes locations are given to them by the church, by other groups, and those locations in many cases are just maybe a physical building, but there are other kinds of support that may be needed in terms of financial support to build out that facility and give them the necessary equipment and tools, and just so that they can use that for sport or for drama or what have you. Is there any scope in your budget? Is there any facility within the ministry within your ministry that can assist persons where you have a space that's being used as a community center? It's used by everybody. It's recognized as the de facto community center within that area, but it's just not government owned, but needs government support. Is there support for situations like that? So you can answer both of those. They're not related per se, but they're related in a sense.
All right, let me start with the last one first. I'm not sure that government can go and build or repair a property that is owned by private sector.
No, wait, before you go any further there, Minister. No, I'm saying the building was gifted. We don't need any repairs. We're not asking for repairs. In this instance, we're asking if the building is being used as a community center. It's being used by the community for the purpose of a community center, but it just needs some support. Maybe they need furniture, maybe they need equipment, maybe they need tools, something like that. But not necessarily that they need repairs or maintenance.
All right. We are not normally in the habit of providing furniture for facilities like that, Honourable Member. What we do, if there's a need for us to bring in equipment to do a particular project for a period of time, then we can do that. So, for example, if it was a case that you were doing a hair braiding program or a barbering course and we need to outfit the facility with those particular things, we can move them from one location where they're not being used at the time and have them come to your location in order to facilitate the project or the program that you're running. In terms of buying furniture, it would have to be something that is committed on the CDD in order for us to come in and provide furniture at that particular level. In relation to your question about Grassroots, one of the first things that I said coming to the ministry is that we were looking to build out sports at the grassroots level, because that is where you're going to unearth the diamonds in the rough. And we have done a couple of things to ensure that that is what is happening. One, we have started, like I mentioned before, the community coaches program. So if there's a need, or if you are seeing 10, 12 youngsters on a path to kicking a football, and there's a member of the community who would have taken the initiative to say, well, look, I'm going to coach them. We have started a program called the Community Coaches Program that will allow us to be able to go into the community with that youngster who is training or who would have been trained to be a coach, to instill the discipline at that level. Two, the honorable member of the opposition said that government don't start clubs. We have a situation, a project at the ministry called our Community Sports Program, where we have the youth officers will go into a particular community and identify 10, 15, 20 plus persons who are interested in a particular discipline. Then we would provide a coach for the initial phase to go through all of the training that is necessary to instill the discipline within those youngsters. One of the things that we have been doing, Honourable Opposition Leader, is then to work with that particular grouping to move them from just a team that is practicing into a structured club, because then if you move into a structured club, you're able to derive more benefits from the ministry and more benefits at the national level from being involved in a club structure. So when the honourable member said that government don't start clubs, I think he's speaking of sometime in the past. But that is the focus, to get youngsters involved in a structured activity and move them from just being in a sporting group to a sporting club, and then we can render further assistance to them at that level. It has been successful. I believe our sporting program should be coming up shortly. We've completed one in the last financial year, and that is the process, to get clubs going at community level to provide that structured environment for all of our young people.
Mr.
Oh, thank you very much for your response, and thank your team for your response. And I want to tell you to continue the good work, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank you in advance for the lights that we will get at the Farmers Playing Field in St. Thomas, in Moore Hill in St. Peter, and also in Indian Ground in St. Peter, all grounds heavily used by communities and all in need of lighting. And thank you in advance for that, Minister. Thank you, my time.
It is good that you're putting it in the universe, sir.
Mr. Chairman, beg to move.
Member for Grassroots West.
Beg to move that you now report progress to His Honour the Speaker and beg for leave to sit again.
The question is that I do not report progress to His Honour the Speaker and beg for leave to sit again. All members in favor, say aye. All members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Chairman has reported progress and request leave to sit again. Member for Christchurch West.
Mr. Speaker, beg to move that this Honourable House be now suspended until 4:25 p.m.
The question is that this Honourable Chairman be suspended until 4:25 p.m. All those honourable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Me think the ayes have it. Mr. Honourable Chairman stands suspended until 4:25 p.m. The sitting is resumed. We return to the Standing Finance Committee.
This House is now in Standing Finance Committee. Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Okay. I'm obliged to you, sir. Honourable Member, I see I would not add to the turbulence in your life. We see it again today with your honourable colleague from St. Michael East. I will calm things down a little.
Type of weekend I had, brother, there's no turbulence, none.
Yes, but I was concerned about today. But that's not my question, sir.
I was about to ask, and ask you to stick to the subject matter.
I'm just here to ask a few simple questions so that the minister may be calm. Brought some laughter to him. Has there been a reduction in the activity of the Community Development Department? Yes. I promise you simple questions.
Honourable Member, far from a reduction in the activity. The activities of that particular department, you would have realized that I mentioned the community engagement program, and I want to invite Ms. Kia Hines to shed some light in terms of that particular initiative that is a new initiative to CDD. Ms. Hines?
Good afternoon, everyone. Kay Hines, Deputy Chief Community Development Officer, Acting. The mission of the Community Development Department is to build strong and vibrant communities across Barbados. Hence, when we identified a need within the community, we seek to conceptualize programs to meet those needs. One such program is called the Community Engagement and Educational Program. This program was launched on August the 14th, 2024, at the Valley Resource Center. It brought together a number of private agencies as well as governmental organizations. These agencies were the Barbados Revenue Authority, the National Insurance and Social Security Service, the Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited, and Sagicor Bank. The program was divided into 3 phases. We would have conducted this program in 10 out of the 11 parishes at a number of community and resource centers. And in the areas where we didn't have a resource center, we would have utilized a faith-based organization. areas cover, community members were able to come to a community center and have a one-on-one discussion with an NIS officer, a BRA officer. They were able to obtain their TAMIS numbers. They were able to obtain, as I said, one-on-one discussion with a BRA officer. They had assistance with tax matters. They queried their income tax and reverse tax credits. In relation to the National Insurance and Social Security, persons were able to assess the NIS contribution history, obtain an NIS number, and were informed of the various services offered by the National Insurance and Social Security. In relation to the financial services, representatives from the Barbados Public Workers Credit Union, as well as Sadra Bank, were able to engage the community members on the importance of having a banking account. They were able to obtain information on bills, budgeting, and financial planning. And in some instances, persons were able to open a bank account on the spot. These sessions were very engaging. Community members were glad that we were bringing these services to the community. They didn't have to get up and get dressed and go to the office of the NIS, go to the office of the BRA, or even the credit union. We were actually bringing these services to them, and it was very engaging, and they thanked us as a department for bringing these services to them within the respective communities. The outcome, we had, as I said, we had 12 sessions, 155 persons were trained. We intend to extend this program into the new financial year, and it's our intention to cover every community center on island. Where we don't have community centers, we would engage the services of the churches, the National Sports Council Pavilion, in rolling out our programs. I must say, not only did we engage the 4 entities I named, we also engaged the Ministry of People's Empowerment, because we would have sent letters asking them to nominate persons from their respective Family First programs to attend these sessions. We also reached out to the Welfare Department, asking them to send some of their clients to attend some of these sessions. In addition to that, we reached out to the Probation Department. So it was a real, one entity can't do it alone. We try to engage all of the government entities to roll out this particular program to benefit residents of the communities of Barbados.
Honourable Member, I hope that you got a little insight in terms of how we're expanding. There's no cutback at CDD.
Yes, you're very well supported. And I'll continue with very simple questions. One of the government's favorite words is synergy. I come here every week and I hear all these synergies. I expect that, and this is a question, does your ministry, in the spirit of synergism, does your ministry collaborate with that ministry that takes responsibility for crime and the peace program? All dealing with youth. It's a very simple question, and let us get through this quickly.
Can you be more specific?
Yes. There is something, your government does something called a peace program. You probably don't think it has much to do with peace, but that is how your government describes it. And oh, you heard too? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, I was saying above the noise, Honourable Member, that your government, with its synergistic collaborations, has something called a peace program, and you and I were about to say that it probably has more to do with war than peace, but be that as it may, it is called a national peace program. And we know that the ministries do collaborate with each other. You don't operate in a compartment, and the Ministry for Crime Prevention does not operate in a compartment, so that there must be, that favorite word, there must be synergy. And I am asking you to explain to the public whether there is collaboration between your ministry and that other ministry insofar as this peace program is concerned, or whether you are completely indifferent to that endeavor.
Honourable Member, let me
In other words, you don't know anything about it. You have nothing to do with it. You're not part of that. That is not part of you. You have your team, you have your ministry, and you will have nothing to do with crime prevention and peace programs. Is that your answer?
Let me answer your question this way.
Yes, please.
This is one united government.
Oh, excellent.
And we were...
In spite of Mr.
Honourable.
Yes. I heard the turbulence.
Let him respond
earlier.
in silence.
Yes. One united government. We have that. I'm writing that.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yeah, I'm just writing, sir.
Wait, you're waiting with your mouth?
I beg your pardon, sir.
I know, Honourable Member, that word united is foreign to you in your neck of the woods, but not this side, my friend.
Okay.
So,
where's Ms. Catto? Sorry about that.
We work, I see Mr. Wayward in St. John. You were asking for somebody?
Beg your pardon?
Okay.
Ms. Catto.
We collaborate from one ministry to the next ministry in terms of how we see fit to benefit our target population. So the simple answer to you is that I work with every single ministry to achieve the goal of empowering the young people in this country.
Thank you very much. So your answer then is you are familiar with the goals and aspirations of the National Peace Program because you belong to one united government. And second follow-up, will you say then to the public, very simple questions, will you say then to the public that you are happy with the methodologies and the results of that National Peace Program in which you and your ministry are participant?
National Peace Program is not part of my ministry, so I really can't answer that.
Yes, but you admitted earlier that you are part of one united government. I wrote it. And you say that being part of that one united government, you are familiar with the goals and aspirations of that National Peace Program, that you are not distant from it. You operate as part of a collective called the Cabinet, and you are familiar with the Peace Program. And indeed, you collaborate with that ministry as one, I wrote it, one united government, so that all the public wants to know quite simply, being a part of that one united government and being synergistic with that Ministry of Crime Prevention and having knowledge of the National Peace Program, all we're asking very simply is whether you're satisfied with the methodologies and the results of that National Peace Program.
Honourable Member, I now understand why you were so consumed with the fishing industry, because you're in here every day fishing. I'm not part of that. The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment is my remit, and we do what we have to do to empower our young people.
Right. Well,
question answered.
Well, what I will do, I will spare you because it is clear that you are now, in spite of being part of one united government, will I then end by asking you, would you prefer to distance yourself from that national
Honourable
peace?
Leader of the Opposition.
Beg your pardon, sir?
This question pertaining to the ministry.
Yes.
This expenditure.
Yes.
Distancing with National Peace Program does not come under this head, Honourable Member. And therefore, if that will not make that respect must be struck from the record. Honourable Minister, you do not have to answer that question.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I didn't hear your ruling, sir.
Not to answer the question.
You're telling him not to answer.
Not to answer the
I
question
see.
because it is not relevant to the proceedings here.
I see. So I have one more then.
Technically you won, but I'll give you one more.
You're so kind, sir. So that, Minister, you get it.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
You heard her, sir.
No.
All right, we look at all right, so that I agree that you should distance yourself from that. How about I see under this book here, the estimates, there's reference made to regathering. There's a reference to regathering. You've heard about this regathering. Haven't seen you at any of them, but you've heard of it. And that's not the question. That's not the question. Your ministry is involved in this exercise called regathering. I see it is mentioned under your ministry, but I'm asking, is your ministry actively involved in that event called regathering? A very simple question, very, very simple question.
Let me answer you this way, Honourable Member. My ministry would have planned out a calendar of events to coincide with regathering. So, for example, you would realize that the road tennis competition that is under my ministry is being factored into the regathering for, I think it is October, when that particular tournament is played. So we have endeavored to engage and to be part of the process through sports to ensure that we get maximum impact going forward.
In which month is that?
That is in October. For example, in St. Peter.
No, October is Christchurch, let me remind you. The BLP is going to, beg your pardon. The government is going to Christchurch in October.
Who told you that?
I saw the calendar.
Oh, you saw?
Yeah, the calendar says that the BLP.
Surprised that you know when it is going.
going.
I'm surprised you know when it's going Christchurch.
No, there's a published calendar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the BLP is going there in October. Y'all are going there in October.
Okay.
Yes?
The short answer to you is that we have endeavored to be part of the process as a ministry because of sports and youth, and we figured that wherever we can plug activities into the calendar, that we would do such.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Well, congratulations on inserting the ministry on a Barbados Labour Party exercise. I'm so obliged to you, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, you're welcome, sir.
Honourable Member for St. Michael West Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the Honourable Member, Honourable Minister and his team. Of course, I will start from the position that the ministry, his ministry, has done an outstanding job in Barbados. And the only, perhaps, advice I would give my colleague, having worked with him as a colleague minister in the Ministry of Transport, Work and Water Resources, that perhaps his ministry should be doing more messaging, because there's a lot that he's doing within his ministry and the story ought to be told. I'm aware that they're telling the story, but perhaps they should ramp up the messaging. And on that point, I would want to congratulate the ministry on Project Dawn. It's, in my judgment, a very well thought out strategy. One of the many strategies being employed to not only empower young people, but to also ensure that they participate in the economic activity of Barbados. It has certainly had a tremendous impact on the young people. It's contributing to skill development and, of course, education. And I perhaps felt I should start there by congratulating the minister and his team for what I consider to be a very well thought out and executed public policy. Of course, any policy designed to improve education, improve skill development, to bring persons into the workforce must be saluted. And on that point, I would like to ask the minister, considering the success that he has and his ministry certainly gained as a result of the project execution with respect to Project Dawn, what are perhaps some of the other strategies that he will employ for the further development of young people, not only in sports, but young people generally within the youth and community empowerment area?
Thank you, Honourable Member. The reality is that Project Dawn, as we know it, is a multifaceted initiative that we have put in place to do exactly the same things that you would have done, that you would have mentioned, to empower our young people at a level that they have never, ever been touched before. We have tried as much as possible to broaden the scope of youth development in terms of embracing all of the things that will redound to the benefit of our young people. And we have done that, for example, through the SAT scholarship program. This is not a part of Project Dawn, but you had 2 people on island who were charging our young people excessive fees to prepare them for entry into universities in the US. So our athletes were paying that money. In some cases, you had a situation where our young people or the parents who could not afford to pay, so those student athletes were left behind because of the fact that 2 individuals on island. And we took the program as a ministry, and we are now in the 4th cohort, I believe, of the SAT scholarship program that provides an opportunity for those student athletes to come to the ministry to be able to get prep for that SAT program that is happening within the States. And we believe that we have seen the benefits because all of those persons who were engaged under the particular SAT program would have gone on to do their scholarships in the US. In terms of building out, we're using, where possible, sports. Maybe by the end of this week or early next week, Honourable Member, we will be launching or we will be breaking ground to construct a badminton and squash facility at Wildy, because we believe it is necessary to build out that particular facility, and squash and badminton, they need a home, and hence we are in the process of ensuring that next week or so you will see that particular breaking of ground for those particular disciplines. It is important, it is very, very important that we do what is necessary to provide second chances. And I'm happy that you mentioned Project Dawn, because like I said, it is really and truly changing lives in Barbados. We have not only the youngsters, but we have parents who are coming to the ministries and asking for an opportunity for their youngsters to be involved in this particular program, because they see it as, 1, an opportunity to get back into the school setting, and 2, for them to do something constructive with their lives. So we continue to be proactive. We continue to ensure that we can provide the level of training. A question was asked about empowering our community groups, and we have done that. We have done the particular training in terms of empowering our groups to be stronger, that they can in turn change lives at the community level with the assistance of government. We have tried as much as possible to get people moving. You've heard about the community gyms that we are putting in place. We have also reached out to seniors. Last year we had close to 1,000 people who were involved in our senior swim program that was happening at Browns Beach, and a similar number was attracted to the junior program as well, because we believe if you're living on island and you want an opportunity to learn to swim, then that we should be the ones to provide that. Again, I would have mentioned for the first time in the history, we would have provided $25,000 in funding for sports the national federations with an opportunity for them to use that money for developmental purposes. We reached back again and offered clubs who were affiliated to those national federations $5,000 in terms of equipment. So we're doing what we can to ensure that the sports project and the youth project on this island is absolutely outstanding to match anything in North America and beyond. Because our young people are the ones who will be the building tomorrow, and we feel that we need to be pouring into them in a way that has not happened in the past. I don't mind what is coming from the honorable member from the opposition, but the truth is that we have seen the benefits based on the programming from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment at every single level. We are seeing how we are impacting lives, we are seeing how we are changing lives based on the initiatives that we have already put in place and the ones that are coming in relation to changing how we do things in terms of youth work. One of the things that I'm looking to do, honorable member, is to ensure that coming soon that we will have a professional youth workers association on island so that we treat now youth work in a totally different vein where we can say that this thing is now a profession. We are working with the Commonwealth Youth Program to make sure that we can have that in place for those persons who are working at my ministry as youth officers, and then we will extend it to persons within the community who are also involved in youth work and empowering our young people. One of the things that is coming again on the Project Dawn is that we're looking to see how best that we can have a steel band coming out of the blocks where we have individuals who will be playing steel band at all of our events. In addition to that, it is also being attached to Project Dawn is a community T20 competition. One of the things that we're doing is looking to go into the community and to start a T20 competition with youngsters who are in some cases on the blocks, but it is totally different to the regular T20. We're looking to have mentors, meaning older folks, older cricketers who would have passed through the system to come back and to engage with the youngsters who are involved in this particular T20 block competition. And this is again an opportunity to mentor our young people and to ensure that we have best practices. I mentioned earlier in my submission that I believe that there is a crisis in terms of parenting, and if we can buttress that by presenting or putting programs on the calendar, on the map in this island that will not take the place, but maybe in some cases substitute for what is happening in the world of parenting. So I thank you, Minister, Honourable Member, for your question, but there's a lot that is coming down the chute in terms of projects and programs that are coming from the Ministry of Youth.
And as a follow-up question to that, not the second question, Mr. Chairman, as a follow-up question, if you don't mind. As a follow-up question, I'm not sure if I missed it, but perhaps through you or the officer responsible for the Project Dawn, I think it would be useful to, and I apologize if the question was asked, to reiterate, if it has been asked, or to tell the chamber how many persons in the last year would have graduated from the Project Dawn and how many intakes you have for this year. That's just a supplementary question, Mr. Chairman, with your leave.
Again, thank you, Honourable Member, for the question. We have had our first graduation January this year. That was very, very successful. In excess of 200 persons would have graduated from that particular program. And one of the things that I want to say that we will continue to ensure that the programs that are being offered by Project Oasis and my ministry as a whole are now certified, because we believe that that is important. I was at an orientation last year at the SJPI, where again in excess of 250 persons would have been in the auditorium at SJPI waiting to do maybe 15 or 16 different programs at that location. A similar exercise was put in place at the Palmerine, for persons who are going into the hospitality area. And we're also working with the Vocational Training Board to provide training. We have set some targets. Last financial year, I think it was 10,000 PS that we had identified as a number for training. I believe that we would have surpassed that particular figure in terms of providing opportunities for our young people. But Project Dawn will continue. New financial year, we have been allocated enough funds, I think, that we can expand the program. And it is not only a case that we are looking at those particular entities that I would have mentioned to do our training, but we're looking as far as possible to ensure that we can have satellite locations for our programs. We have the Chesterfield-Brewster complex in Silver Hill that we're earmarking to run some of our programs. It was mentioned earlier that the facility at Deacons is coming to the ministry, and where possible, we will look to see how we can run some of our programs at these particular locations. So these satellite locations are critical to us. I am satisfied that we're doing what is necessary to meet the needs. And again, like I said at the beginning, those aspirations of our young people must not fall on the ground. As long as this ministry is in place and this government is in place, we will do what is necessary. Honorable member, I know, for example, that coming through your ministry, there's a lot that is happening in terms of hotel construction, and what we are prepared to do is to ensure that we can work, and the honorable member would be interested in this, with the Ministry of Training, to ensure that we can have more people that are ready for the hospitality industry when those particular hotels are completed.
And thank you very much, Honourable Member. In fact, perhaps you anticipated my next question, because the Leader of the Opposition would have asked you a question relating to synergies. And that was on my lips to ask you, but I will still ask it as my second question, because when the Leader of the Opposition asked about synergies, I thought you were going to immediately remind him about the partnerships that we have within the Ministry of Tourism and International Transport and your ministry, considering the considerable work that we've done. I know that you have the expertise there, and we have and will continue to partner in a number of sporting initiatives, including last year when we brought a netball team flown in on British Airways to Barbados and others. Now, I will not delve into matters of tourism because I'm not in the well. Suffice to say that, in part, the numbers that we are witnessing with respect to visitor arrivals in Barbados, that your department is also helping us. And, you know, we both engage in dialogue from time to time. And I must tell you, even at World Travel Market, when we have our annual meeting of the minds within the travel and tourism trade, that you have a wonderful disposition of the booth, what we call the pavilion on shore, where we highlight a number of Barbadians who are in sports. But I'm particularly pleased, and I welcome the Project Dawn program, because when you think about the number of hotel projects that are coming on stream, and we have quite a few hotels that will be coming on stream within the next 2 years, but particularly this year, we will have 2 opening. And the skills that you are encouraging these young men and women from across all Barbados to prepare themselves for will contribute significantly to the building out of skills within the hospitality sector, which will allow persons, especially young persons who are joining your program, to come into the hospitality sector, not only as to work in a spa, to work in the culinary division, but also you're preparing them as bobcat operators and tractor drivers and so on to participate in the construction activity. So I welcome that. Perhaps you may wish to speak a little bit about the sports tourism initiative, but more specifically on the sports side from your ministry, so that we can help the Leader of the Opposition recognize that the synergies that we've worked on together are bearing fruit for the country.
Thank you, Honourable Member, for jogging my mind. It is true that there has been a lot of cooperation between your ministry and mine in relation to sports tourism. Sports tourism is a huge, huge thing, probably $1 billion industry that we're looking to tap into. Only, I believe over the weekend, we worked together with the Aviation Cup. That is a new thing coming to our shores. One of the reasons, or the main reason that we would have constructed a volleyball court at the gymnasium is to allow us to be able as well to work with your ministry in terms of ensuring that we can have tournaments here at a level that is a quality level in terms of volleyball. I've been working with your ministry in relation to the Roger Boys Classic. That is now huge, that is coming this year again in terms of bringing persons, bodybuilders from across the world to Barbados to participate in that particular event that is now a staple in terms of calendar of events that are happening on island. And we continue to work together in relation to several other initiatives that are coming from the sports tourism side of things. And unlike what the Honourable Member is thinking to be something nefarious, from the onset, we work together as a ministry. Like I said, I have asked a previous PS to reach out to all of the ministries that we have to relate to identify a point person. You would have heard me ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs when he was in the well to identify that particular person in the ministry that we can cooperate in terms of making things easier for our young people. So, Honourable Member, I really appreciate you jogging my mind in terms of the sports tourism project. We are definitely trying to ensure that we can have a lot of programs happening from that particular area. One of the things that is new and upcoming is motorsports. It is huge, and we're trying to see how best that we can have something in place to deal with motorsports. It is a big, big thing across the region and the world. And again, I will be working in tandem with the Ministry of Tourism to ensure that we can have persons in Barbados participating in motorsports.
Thank you, Honourable Member, for your answers, and that is true because I can tell you, as it relates to motorsports, whenever there's a rally in Barbados, you see a number of persons coming not only from within the Caribbean, but from around the world, and it is on the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. calendar as well, where when we are out there promoting Barbados, we not only promote food and our sun and sea, but we also promote the activities, and that is one of the primary activities on our calendar. So I thank you for that response. Of course, you have the World Federation of Bodybuilders and their competition here, as well as other tournaments such as the bridge tournament and so on, international bridge tournament that would on occasion come to Barbados. As I move on to my last question before the chair tells me otherwise, you've commenced a number of what I consider, again, this is another opportunity for, not opportunity, I should say, another evidence of synergies within the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And you are expanding a number of the outdoor, what I refer to as the outdoor gym. And you have the gym, outdoor gym, located in areas all across Barbados. I'm sure that this will also contribute not only to the health and wellness of persons within the community, but it continues to build out the community that we so much look forward to in Barbados. I'm aware that we have installed or retrofitted across Barbados within the community centers and so on. But I would simply ask you, when you have obviously the necessary resources at St. Michael West Central, and I speak of Grassroots, and I speak of Belfield and Marshall Parkinson, that we too would like to benefit from an outdoor gym within our community. And also, just to remind you, with respect to the Belfield complex, it is perhaps an area that is well known for not only football, but it is, and I call it the Mecca for road tennis in Barbados. And obviously I know that you've contributed, like I have done, to that area in terms of the build out. But I would like to ask your ministry to pay greater attention to the lights at the Belfield Center. I know you've done an inordinate amount of work with respect to the lights on the tennis courts, and we would like a little bit more reposition of the lights there, as well as to have a schedule for the maintenance of the facility. And I will ask you to include, since I will not be a beneficiary of a mini stadium, I would like you to consider an opportunity for bleachers to be installed at the Belfield as well as the Marshall Parkinson area. And speaking of the Marshall Parkinson area, I would like you, the poles are installed, but the issue for us is that we have to get the lights turned on. And if you could ask your officials to pay some attention there as we build out these recreational facilities for all Barbadians. It is very heartening when you are on your personal trips and you travel abroad and you see, for example, the lights all across the fields as you travel, and sometimes they stay on late at night for people who want to engage in late night exercises and the work. So I thank you for all that you've done. You've made a tremendous difference in the lives of many people within Barbados. But I will ask you, sir, that even though I'm going a bit local on my politics, I would like to ask you to ensure that the facilities at Marshall Parkinson and Belfield, you would note that I have not asked you to construct a community complex at Marshall Parkinson, because I know we have spoken about that. And I know that you will go all out to ensure that we have a facility including the planning works. But I appreciate all that you've been doing for Barbados. Certainly building out the community. And I will ask you to consider once again Belfield and Marshall Parkinson, not only for the outdoor gym, but also for other improvements that I believe would be central to the continued community build out that you're executing with your ministry. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. All of your concerns are duly noted. And you are correct that the community gyms are allowing a number of our members from within the community to be active. And that is part of the reason why we are installing those community gyms, because we believe that, a healthy lifestyle is something that is important. Hence the reason why we would have triggered the senior swim program and the junior swim program. And one of the things that I'm committed to as Sports Council is wherever possible to ensure that those playing fields that are active, that we can put some lights on those particular playing fields. Even in some cases, the ones that are not active, with the installation of lights, we have seen an uptick in terms of activities happening at the particular location. I can readily speak to the Glebe, where a hard court was constructed, and now almost every evening you can see a whole set of young people who are getting involved in sports, whether it be basketball, netball, or volleyball. All of these things are happening at a location where they never took place before. So I have noted all of your areas, Honourable Member, and I thank you for the endorsement of the work that my team and I are doing at the ministry, and we will continue to do what is necessary.
Thank you, Honourable Member. We should have instructed you to proceed with your wrap-up. I apologize, Honourable Member. He has to, the chair has ruled that he will wrap up at this time.
You have something against the Honourable Member? Thank you, Chair. I'm grateful, and I said this from the beginning, I'm very, very grateful to be in the well today to highlight and to showcase a number of activities that are happening within the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment to further our young people at several levels. This government continued to be proactive in terms of how we treat to the development of our young people. And I believe that I would have shared a number of the programs today during this exercise in terms of what is happening. And hopefully the public will have a better idea of what is happening out of Sky Mall and by extension our other locations. You would have heard from my officers programs that are impacting the lives of individuals in a meaningful way, and not only young people, but understand that we're impacting families as well. So whatever we can continue to do as a ministry, as a government, I am humbled to be in the chair as minister at this particular time to do that. And I can guarantee you that as long as I'm sitting there, that we will continue to be proactive. There's a need for our young people to see another way. There's a need for our young people to believe that government is supporting them in everything that they do. And we will continue to make sure that we put the necessary resources, whether it be manpower, whether it be finances, behind our young people. The sports project is something that is important to me. My background is in sports, and the truth is that sports can move everyone forward in terms of how we treat the community empowerment. So the ministry is wrapped up in those three particular areas that speaks to the community empowerment. And I believe that there's more to come in terms of how we treat to the projects and the programs that are coming out of the ministry. And during this financial year, with the funds that have been allocated to Head 91, I believe that we will impact in a significant way. With those few words, Chair, I beg that Head 91 stand par.
Honourable Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I beg to move that you do not report progress to His Honour the Speaker and beg leave to sit again.
The question is that I do not report progress to His Honour the Speaker and beg for leave to sit again. All honourable members in favour, say aye. Honourable members against, say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Chairman has reported progress and requests leave to sit again. Honourable Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the suspension of the House until tomorrow at 10 a.m.
The question is that this Honourable Chairman be suspended until Tuesday, the 4th of March, 2025 at 10 a.m. in the forenoon. All those honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it. This Honourable Chairman stands suspended until Tuesday, 4th of March, 2025 at 10 a.m. in the forenoon.